A very good evening to all the participants at the India Global Education and Skills Summit. Thank you very much for waiting for us for this fireside chat. We are joined by the most popular police officer, Miss Roopa Moudgil. Thank you very
Namaste.
much, ma'am. Thank you very
Yeah, my
much, ma'am.
pleasure. My pleasure being here. Being here.
In
Am
spite
I
of your
audible?
busy schedule, yes, you are audible. In spite of your busy schedule and in spite of being on leave today, you have agreed to connect with us, and it's my great pleasure to share the screen with you this evening. And I would like to thank India Global Education Summit organizers for arranging this. It's my pleasure, honor to talk to you, ma'am. So, without much ado, let me get into the session. Ma'am, in the UPSC examination, you have almost topped with the rank of 41, and but after that, you have chosen IPS instead of IAS, which is the general phenomenon that we notice. What is the reason? What motivated you to actually choose IPS over IAS, ma'am?
I so I was in NCC for a very long time. I've told this again and again. National Cadet Corps. I was in eighth, ninth. I passed ABC certificate. Then I joined in college also, and then I represented the state directorate in Republic Day parade at Delhi when I was in eighth. So these, this environment that khaki created for me made me develop love towards khaki. So the choice, hence the choice. Yeah, I've told this several
Fantastic, ma'am.
times.
I think after,
Um,
yes, after having chosen the uniform services,
Actually,
the journey has
since I
been
was already, as I was already wearing khaki, I mean, I had worn khaki uniform for several years as NCC cadet. I never thought, ki, okay, uniform with pants and shirt is something which only men should wear, and that is a male dominated thing. It never occurred to me, nor my parents discouraged me anytime or even questioned my choice. So I was brought up that way with a lot of independence. Yeah, so I chose that.
fantastic, ma'am. Thank you. After having chosen this service, the journey has not been that smooth or has not that been easy. As we understand and
Why do
we
you
read
say
about you,
so? Why do you say so? See, no journey is
yeah, from
ever smooth, and if it is smooth, it becomes very boring. There should be ups and downs. You know that there is a high because there's a low. You know there's a low there because there's a high. So no, I have
how
never
would you?
see problems come, but if you are right, and if you are if you have taken the legal rule, I mean, legally, morally, ethically, if you are right, you don't have to worry. But because when you take on the system, there are deep rooted vested interests in the system. So when you take on the system, when you are act as a whistleblower, and then when you speak against the system or bring out the loopholes in the system, do you think the other person will keep quiet, or the other persons involved will keep quiet? The vested interest, no, they will never keep quiet. They will also fight back tooth and nail. And then there'll be a lot of allegations on you, mud smearing also on the whistleblowers also. But what keeps one going is what one has done, the clarity of mind, the clarity that you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this, the clarity that one is acting in a manner transparent, uh, in a publicly accountable manner. I think that keeps one going. And if you don't have anything to hide or cover up, people may say 100 things, but you keep going. So that's always been my yeah,
Thank
my
you,
what
thank you, ma'am. I
way I walk.
fantastic. One question I have is about after a hectic day, going through all these ups and downs, as you mentioned. Uh, what when you talk to yourself at the end of a day or at the beginning of the next day, what is that one thing that you talk to yourself?
Um, See, first of all, I'm not a person averse to disorder around me. I have always been like this. If there is chaos, fine. I can bear with it. Many people can't take change. Many people can't take the disorder around. They want always peace of mind. I think that is the way they say दूर रहो इस सब चीज़ों से and never venture into anything. See, because if you don't venture into anything, if you don't do anything, your life will always be smooth. Always be smooth, non-happening types. It's because you take on, and the more bigger ones you take on, more the focus on you, more the pressure on you, and all this. But at the end of the day, I tell myself that, as I said, there's nothing for me to hide or cover up. So, and luckily, I have a husband who is also an IAS officer who tells me that, who gives me clarity. No, you are right. You don't have to bog down, because not even once he has told me, why are you doing all this, this exists, leave it. He has never said that. In fact, there are many others who have told me, what you, one person, you will not be able to correct the system. Why do you do all this? But that's fine. Everybody, I believe everybody will do their might. So I do whatever I can. And naturally, I can't tell others, I don't preach others. If they want to do, let them do, but I'll do my bit for the society. I think this is the way a bureaucrat can give to the society, by acting uh, pro poor, pro law, and morally. Mm, yeah.
Great, ma'am. Pro poor, pro law, and being moral. I think your ethical compass and the guiding principles are quite intact. Ma'am, my query, and probably I represent a lot of people who would like to know from you,
Mm.
how do we scale up this positivity? For example, you are so courageous and you have pursued the line of duty so well, and you stand as a role model today. Now, after having chosen this particular career, like you, many others also have difficulties, or in the sense there are tough times. How does this help others when they pick up the career? For example, do we have to make any changes in the training, the way UPS, the civil servants will have to undergo? Do we have to change the exam or the selection process itself, or do we have to make any other changes in the other things in the ecosystem which enables them to catch up on this positivity? Because this is going to be useful to the society and the country at large. I think there is a greater need for scaling up this. Is it only individualistic, or we can make some changes in the processes that we have to increase the pie of positivity among the youth?
It's a very huge, on a question on a large canvas. Attempts have been made every time to test the ethics of the person before taking in. And of late, there is an ethics paper also in UPSC. But I do not know how much of the ethics paper will actually reflect what the person, how ethical a person is. Because you can always, write a very good theoretical ethical answer, and you may be totally different practically. Uh, but see, what I many a time feel is, what we learn in academy is very different from the field. For example, in the academy, we are taught the theoretical knowledge. There is also practical training also for 6 months, which academy monitors in a way. But then after one comes into an independent posting as a DC or an SP and other positions, the higher and higher you go, I have seen bureaucrats becoming more docile, very adjusting, and not putting up a fight even when it is required to. Mm, and sometimes it could be with a motivation, wanting to stay in the same post. Sometimes it could be with a motivation to get something else after retirement. Sometimes it could be just wanting peace of mind, not willing to take on politicians. But on the other hand, the politicians, without any, without passing any exam, whatever their education level be, they've got one thing: they just know how to ride over the bureaucrat, howsoever intelligent the bureaucrat may be. And our bureaucrats घुटने टेक देते हैं to just lie down, kneel down. So that is one thing. It has to be, again and again. Probably we must tell them. We must somehow make bureaucrats stand up to and resist the illegal demands, because finally it is the politician who has a say, and it's all informal. Even when there is nothing legally that the such and such a thing of demand of a politician has to be done, still it will be done by the bureaucrat. So yeah, I think it's a personality training, and that is required now and then, not just once.
Okay, it's a personality training and an update that is required to remain ethical, to remain strong, and pursue one's line of duty from time to time, not just once. So that's a great answer, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move to the other thing that I was thinking about. Uh, Once you mentioned that your colleagues did not stand up for you when you were actually uh, up against some of the most
Ah,
important
I
issues.
don't. I That was not told as a main thing, because I don't want to. I don't want to put them in bad light. But it is true that, see what happens. Um, it's a very common this one, that when we fight, we are all alone. Everybody has to fight one's own battles, and I'm prepared for it. I know it. If I put up a fight, it's my battle alone. Nobody else. Others may just give you kind of moral support with verbal support, but finally, it is for you to walk that path, howsoever difficult. You are the one to feel that inside, to resist the negative emotions in you, to take on the pressure, and so on. So some question was asked, so I said that, but it's not. I don't hold anything against, because yeah, fine. That's fine. That's how the system is. Hmm. See, well, even after all that,
Yes,
did
yes.
not stand up
I
by
get
me
the
means
point,
what?
ma'am.
Verbal support.
I get.
उससे क्या होता है?
Yeah, thank you,
Maximum.
thank you. Um,
Yeah.
right, right. So we notice that whether it is in movies or in real life, we notice one thing, ma'am. For example, in our school, in the classroom, if the teacher is shouting at a fellow student for a wrong reason, for example, for the mistake that one has not committed, the teacher would probably shout out of ignorance. Sometimes you would not know. But sitting next to my fellow student, I did not stand up. Similarly, in offices, when we graduate to work, we did not stand up for our colleagues when there was
Yeah, that's how
probably
we are. No,
some
then,
kind of
like,
wrong.
yeah, all of us. Yeah, that's
It
okay.
happens, and I have seen this in movies also. That recently there's a movie by the name Janaganamana, and in that there's a committee in a university where one of the professors proposes something, and there was absolute silence on behalf of all others. So silence is treated as an acceptance, and therefore
Acceptance of the
that
situation.
issue was not taken up for discussion, and there was no modification made. So what I'm trying to arrive at is that uh, as a society we are all failing. How do we what is your advice to various members in the stakeholders in the society? What do we do to actually change this picture? We need to stand up for our colleagues, our fellow classmates and neighbors and all, and so that we keep pushing the good versus bad. Well, what is your suggestion? What steps should we take, ma'am?
Mm. See, I don't believe in standing up for something just because someone's friend. Many a time that also happens. No? Just because someone is my friend, and got into problem. There are many times that person could be wrong. Um, but we have to try to imbibe more of this. See, it's like, if I stand in queue, if I jump the queue, of course, I'll benefit, for example. But if everybody starts jumping the queue, and then what will happen? So I think these, don't do unto others what you would not like to be done unto yourself. So I think these are the things which we have to put in the minds of our children, and even adults. That is why morals exist. It's not without any reason, because some people say these days there are no morals. There are what is of what use is ethics? It's just, by hook or crook somebody wants to get ahead in life. We keep hearing at times the morals itself are in flux. But if everybody starts, doing this, then what will happen? So this whole society will be in chaos and disorder, and might is right will again come back. So these are the things we should, every time think when we act. And if a person is right, then I think we should have the courage to speak up, and stand for the person. And if you're taking on somebody, do not also expect others to come and support and be with you. Everybody's battle is their own battle, first of all. So I think we should be self sufficient when we take on. Yeah. Mm.
Great. We should be self-sufficient. We should fight our own
Mhm.
battle to start with, and then
Yeah.
probably think about the others. So that's a good point, ma'am.
Mm.
I would like to request you to respond to this. The independence of the police force vis-a-vis political interference. How do you rate this in India vis-a-vis other democratic countries? For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the independence of police force vis-a-vis political interference in India?
Maybe 5 on 10. 5 on 10.
5 on 10.
I
Okay,
haven't
madam,
seen
I
too
get
many,
that. I broadly get
mm. I haven't
I
seen too
broadly
many
get the
other
picture.
countries.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
okay.
whatever.
The additional question on this is, which police
Mm.
services other than India across the world, if you're given a chance to work with, would you like to work?
Hmm. It's that world famous London police, na? But it's okay. We are also not
Okay.
very much behind, but yeah. Uh, I This is a very such a childish question. I can't even think of. But yes, countries. I mean, of course,
Great.
FBI is, world known, and then Interpol, of course. But see, I've seen that in England also. hmm, The mayor, there are many places where mayor chooses the commissioner, mayor of the corporation, of the city. He chooses his team of, police, including the commissioner. So that again is a kind of like, of course, it's direct citizens doing that. But then if you think mayor is a politician, again, he'll choose his team. So, but he's responsible to the people. Um, but that also you can say that politician is, choosing his own team. So, mm,
Yeah.
whatever it be, wherever, whatever system it be, there is a separation of powers. Legislature has to do this, executive has to do this, judiciary has to do that. That's the best system that we have. And we have allowed legislature to decide and do many functions of the executive, and that is where the problem is. Legislature, as I read in textbooks, it is to make laws. Shasakanga, Shasak has to make laws. He has to only legislate, enact laws. But enforcing that is executive power, means the officers, the bureaucracy. But even when you go to enforce, the Shasak, the MLA, the MP will interfere. And he'll say, enforce it in this manner, not in that other manner. That is interference. You're not allowing the executive to do its work. And then who brings in the executive? Who brings in the officers? Again, it is the MLA MP. I want this officer, put him here. That is not his role. His role is only to enact laws. It's the decision of the minister and the CM, chief minister, to post officers, especially IAS and IPS. So I think separation of powers is a must. Yeah.
Right, ma'am. Separation of powers is a must. There's
Mm.
one more question about there is a general argument that we are over legislated in our country. We are over
Mm.
legislated. What should,
Mm.
according to you, what should be the first law to go?
First law to go.
Yeah.
Um, there are many laws which are at times misused in our country. Mm, but not on the police side, but there are many other laws on the revenue side, uh, wherein you have to believe the citizen and give more right, not on those civil laws. I think many can be repealed. Uh, see, for example, when the family head dies and the property gets distributed, okay, you have to approach the surveyor and the concerned officer to do the distribution, and he will do distribution as per his, in Karnataka this is, he will do as per his own thinking. And why should family property be distributed by an officer? Why do you have to wait for him? So it's it is there a change needed to be brought. I think Karnataka government has done this change. Now you can your family, you yourself can distribute your own family. You can do the plan and give it to the surveyor. He just approve. So you're making it more citizen friendly. So there are more such civil laws where citizen-centric laws, which can be not the penal laws where punishment is there, which are more a concern of the police, but many of these civil laws can be more made more citizen-friendly. Many of them can be done away with. Hmm.
Thank you. We need to be more citizen friendly and citizen centric in our laws, especially civil laws that you mentioned. Thank you, ma'am. The next one is we are now going through a case in Hyderabad. It's a rape case in Hyderabad, and sometime back there was a Disha case where the culprits were encountered, and that is one scenario. Second scenario is a Hyderabad rape case where the culprits are identified as minors, and yes, investigation is going through. Um, how would you, if you were in Telangana, ma'am, how would you handle this Hyderabad case? Any different from what's going on currently?
You land me in problem by asking these questions. Uh, it's a very theoretical question, but yeah, sometimes the heart bleeds and says why a minor should be let off when he has committed himself an animalistic, uh, kind of an act on an innocent, when, helpless person. But then again, he's a minor, so the law is there. Minors are not very, so these are very, I think my opinion doesn't really matter. But
Oh, it
it is a
matters, ma'am.
tight
It
rope
matters.
walk for police officers. It's a tight rope walk for police officers because, on one hand, they have to, whatever they do, there are hundreds of inquiries later again, which bring their moral down. So, there'll be judicial inquiry, magisterial inquiry, many such inquiries, even in the courts. So, what happens at that moment, in the heat of the moment, many may appreciate what the cops do, but as time goes by, people forget that. Even witnesses change. I mean, their change of mind, change of heart happens for witnesses, even the victims, and then the person who has actually done the investigation properly will be in soup. This is a very unfortunate situation, but this happens always. So so naturally I'll be on the side of police officers
Yes.
whenever they do a good investigation. Yeah. Mm.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Ma'am, if I have permission from you to refer to that prison case where you have exposed undue privileges being granted to one of the high profile prisoner.
Mm.
Um, uh, in a high profile case like that, the exceptional deviation has been too much. For a common man like me, I wanted to understand what would be a standard deviation of these procedures, ma'am. from especially influence, even in the influential people there are several layers, but the case that I was talking about was a very very highly influential person and political as well. But otherwise who are not well known but influential, what would be the standard deviation, say on a scale of 1 to 10, if this case was say maybe around 7 8, how much would be the standard deviation?
No, this was about, you could say, 8, 9, and
It,
many of them are 8, 9 on a similar scale. You don't get to
oh,
know many a time. Prisons are supposed to be levelers. Nowhere it is mentioned in any law that just because somebody is influential, was born rich, belongs to a wealthy family, one has to be treated in a different manner. It is nowhere written like that in the rules. Earlier, there used to be a category of political prisoners during freedom struggle, where the freedom fighters used to fight and then get jailed. They were called political prisoners. Now there is no concept of political prisoners in independent India. Political prisoners were allowed some kind of concession. They would not be treated like criminals. There were some concessions given, some privileges given. But now that we are in independent India and there is no concept of political prisoners,
hello ma'am, can't hear you.